If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
What is up, Buffalo Fanatics? Z-Bot here with you, live on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel on a Monday evening. And that, of course, can only mean one thing. It is the Smoke Break, powered by BetUS. How are we feeling? 24 hours removed from one of the oddest games you'll ever see, and it feels like every time I come on here and say, what an odd game, what an insane game, the Buffalo Bills are on the losing end of it. This time was no different. The Bills lose a game that I'm sure it has left all of you like me still mind-numbed over 24 hours removed. Bills lose 23-20 in Houston in a game that felt like they should never have been in it. All of a sudden they were in it. Felt like at the very bare minimum they should have gotten an opportunity to win it. They wound up blundering that opportunity in regulation. At the very bare minimum, at the absolute bare minimum, this ball game should have went to overtime. Instead, somehow, this game ends in regulation on the leg of Kaimi Fairbairn. A 59-yard field goal. Looked like it would have been good from 70, right down the middle of the uprights. And it sends the Buffalo Bills to 3-2. It improves the Houston Texans to 4-1. Hope you're doing well here on a Monday afternoon, as good as you possibly can be after a game like that. It's funny, usually 24 hours removed from a game, you tend to feel a bit better than you do immediately afterwards. Games like this, it's a different situation, in my opinion. This is one of those games where it just feels like as time has gone on, the more it makes absolutely no sense to me. As time goes on, I continuously get more and more frustrated about what occurred on Sunday afternoon. I continuously get more confused about how the hell that game wound up going the way it did. And while it was happening, I wasn't sure. I was staunch in my belief at the end of that game that the way that the Bills were approaching it was not the correct way. That's how I felt right out of the gates. But I wasn't sure if that's how everybody felt. And then you took the time to, of course, look at everybody online, listen to others. Rico and I were live with you right afterwards on here. We were reading what you guys had to say. And there were some people defending the decisions. The majority of people seem to not be defending the decisions. But if you go ahead and take a look at the mainstream media today, if you go ahead and look at the mainstream media from yesterday afternoon into the evening, into the Sunday Night Football broadcast, everything you see being discussed in regard to these Buffalo Bills was essentially how in the living hell did that ball game finish the way that it did. I don't know if you've seen, but Scott Hansen, who of course is the voice of NFL Red Zone, as good as it gets in the broadcasting field. While the game was occurring during the Red Zone broadcast, while the end was occurring, you can go over on my Twitter if you'd like. I retweeted it. But there's a 4-part segment of videos in which Scott Hansen is legitimately losing his mind over the decision for these Buffalo Bills to air the ball out 3 consecutive times, backed up in their own end zone, after forcing the Texans to punt, being put in a position where they could inevitably take this game to overtime and live to see another day. He was losing it. I've seen videos from just about everybody. You name it, they all have the same take. And it's because that's the take that everybody should have. When you watch the game go down the way it did yesterday afternoon, I don't know how you can walk away from that and say that that wasn't one of the most egregious endings to a football game you'll ever see. And it just feels like the Bills have compiled a laundry list of these. And this one is no different. This is right up there with the list of losses that the Bills have become historic for. How many times have the Bills lost a game in historic fashion? Far more than they've won them. I'll tell you that. Certainly in my lifetime. Yesterday, to me, is one of those games, I don't know how you soon forget it. It won't be as infamous as 13 seconds because, of course, the ramifications weren't the same. This wasn't a playoff game. This didn't decide a trip to the AFC Championship. This wasn't one of the greatest games in NFL history like the 13-second game was. But to me, this will be up there similar to a game like last year against the Denver Broncos where you have too many men on the field. When Denver misses the game-winning field goal, the Bills would have won the football game. Flag on the field. What the hell is this? Too many men. Oh, my God, you got to be kidding me. Broncos go back out. Second attempt on the field goal. Boom, it's good. Bills lose. You haven't forgotten that one, have you? Of course you haven't. This, to me, is up there with that, but probably worse. Because the Bills can't really control a made or missed field goal. They could have controlled how many men were on the field. But at the end of the day, that kick still could have been made. I guess you could say they could control how many men were on the field and it would have made the difference. It ultimately would have. But they had multiple opportunities in this game, I guess is the best way to put it. In this Houston game, they had multiple opportunities under their own accord to change the trajectory of that football game, and they pissed away every single one of them. It's certainly up there to me with that game. And it's funny how when you're put on the spot, you're like, well, name me some others. Well, the 13-second, of course, comes to mind. But like I said, tough to compare a Week 5 game to a divisional round playoff game. But you know exactly what I'm talking about. It just feels like there are constantly games like this, year in and year out. Whether it's the drought years, whether it's the prolific Josh Allen years, you cannot seem to escape, at the bare minimum, 1 to 2, a handful of losses, depending on the year, I guess, where you leave it thinking to yourself, who else but the Buffalo Bills find a way to lose that ball game in the fashion in which that they did? And I still feel that way today. Now, who knows? That game could have gone to overtime. The Bills' offense had one of the worst performances they have ever had under Josh Allen. So for all we know, they could have gone to overtime and lost. But at least they would have had the opportunity to do it. And the way that game was going, you'd almost have felt grateful for that game to even go to overtime. Dylan, by the way, I wanted to mention this coming in. See, these are the games that you even forget. There's so many of them. Thank you, Dylan. A quick synopsis right here of just multiple games. The Vikings game, of course, where Justin Jefferson makes maybe the greatest catch you've ever seen in your entire life. They somehow win the football game. Josh Allen, what was it, a fumble into their own end zone there, or whatever the hell ended up occurring. You couldn't believe what you just witnessed. The Hal Murray, of course, one of the greatest, and once again, one of the greatest catches ever. Remember, in back-to-back years, the greatest catch of the year in back-to-back years were moments against the Bills that wound up winning the game for the opponent. The Broncos game, as Dylan mentioned, feels like every year. Now, this would have been the game of the day yesterday. This would have been considered maybe one of the games of the year in terms of the craziness of it had the Bengals-Ravens game not gone down yesterday. That game wound up overshadowing this one a bit just because how insane that one was. 41-38. Lamar Jackson fumbles the game away in overtime. The Bengals miss a field goal to win it. Derrick Henry takes it right down the field the following snap for the Ravens offense, and they win the football game. That game was nuts. But this game is just up there with all of these other Bills games. It just feels like every year you can't escape it. But there was just something about yesterday that was just, it felt almost worse than others. Because it just felt like it was incompetency. It wasn't anything that anybody else did. It's what they did to themselves. It felt like they had the cards. They were able to deal their own hand, and they essentially dealt themselves a loss. At the very least, they dealt themselves a loss in regulation, as I keep referring to. There is no way that anyone watching that football game did not think the ball game was going to overtime once they called the intentional grounding against C.J. Stroud and they forced the Texans to punt. There's nobody out there that thought that that game was not at the bare minimum going to overtime. I don't think anybody but Bills fans could have imagined what was gonna unfold. And I told Rico yesterday, and I swear on my mother, that the second the Bills decided to throw the football on that first snap, I knew they were going to throw it all 3 downs. And then it started to creep into my mind immediately. Before they even hit third down, I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute here. If they don't gain any yards here, they're going to have to punt out of their own end zone. And they have arguably the best field goal kicker in the league, which is saying something in 2024, because it just feels like every one of these kickers now would have been the best kicker in the league maybe a decade ago. That's how good all these kickers are. And when you're the best of that, it's truly something. And right now, to me, Kaimi Fairbairn and Brandon Aubrey are the 2 best field goal kickers in the National Football League. Kaimi Fairbairn now is 7 of 8, 8 of 9 this season alone from 50 yards or more. You knew that if the Texans were to get the ball back based on where the Bills had to punt from, you had the best kicker in the league, arguably, going to be able to take the field in a range in which he's almost automatic in. I know it's crazy to think, but a 55 to 62-yard field goal for Kaimi Fairbairn is about as automatic as a Steph Curry layup these days. Crazy, but that's the truth. And the game was not approached at the end with that in mind. And that's what kills me. I have not stopped thinking about that ending sequence since it finished. I've either come on here and talked to you about it or just stared at the ceiling and thought about it. It can't escape me. And like I mentioned, it does feel like after losses, a day removed, you do feel a bit better and it kind of dwindles away. That hasn't been the case here. This has lingered. My frustration continues to increase as I watch it more, as I rewatch the game, and we're going to watch the all 22 of the final sequence here in a second. But as you rewatch it, as you rethink about it, as you hop on Twitter and read all the little anecdotes about it, it just fuels the fire of frustration. Yesterday was as abysmal a game as I can remember. From basically top down, outside of the defensive performance, which I thought in the second half was remarkable. There is no excusing how bad this defense was on 3rd and long yesterday. I can't argue against that. And you can certainly make a valid argument that that wound up being a major factor in costing the Bills this football game. But at the end of the day, the Bills defense made 2 absolutely massive plays in the second half, late in the second half, to not only keep the Bills in the game, but frankly give them an opportunity to even get to the point where they wound up crapping themselves. The Bills defense in the second half allowed 6 points. It would have been 3 in regulation had the offense not gifted them the ball back. They forced the 2 turnovers. They got pressure on C.J. Stroud. For an offense that seemed to be able to do whatever it wanted in the first half, that defense answered the call. And they're doing it with guys that are on the second, third team here. And they're also doing it with guys fresh off of injuries like Terrell Bernard making one of the plays of the entire day. The deception on that interception making it seem to C.J. Stroud like he was going one way. He backs into the other way, picks off the target to Stephon Diggs. The defense was abysmal on third down yesterday, especially with the down and distance on third down. It felt like every third down late in the game that the Texans were facing was 7 yards or more, and it felt like they got each and every one of them. But they made the big moment plays. The Bills' offense did not. And there's a couple of alarming statistics. There's an egregious amount of alarming statistics, frankly, coming out of yesterday. All basically having to do with the offense. And we'll touch on that before we get into breaking down the final sequence. Because what I want to do on this episode is just dive into what exactly happened at the end there. Because that ultimately is the biggest takeaway. Regardless of what happened in the 59 minutes and 20 seconds prior to the final 40 seconds, it's all forgotten because it all boiled down to that moment. That's all anybody's going to remember, and that's all I can think about. But up until that point, Howard Simon, formerly at WGR, he tweeted this out yesterday. Bills wide receivers had 18 targets in the game yesterday. 18 targets. For starters, I mean, that's abysmally low, especially when Josh Allen threw the ball 30 times. Of those 18 targets, 4 of those attempts were completed. 4. That is less than 25%. Those 4 catches went for a grand total of 76 yards, one of which was the touchdown to Keon Coleman that resulted in 49 of the 76 yards. Meaning, there were only 27 additional yards added to the Buffalo Bills stat line in the football game yesterday afternoon outside of the Keon Coleman touchdown. That was a curl route in which he made a terrific play on. And I don't know how the hell he didn't go out of bounds. That accumulated 49 of the 76 yards accounted for by this Buffalo Bills wide receiver room yesterday. And that's why the only other thing being talked about outside of the blunder at the end is, of course, this receiving room. And through the first 3 weeks, the mantra of everybody eats felt great because it felt like everybody was eating their fair share in contribution towards dominant W's. But now when nobody's eating at all and the Bills offense can't move the football, they can't get a first down, much less get in the end zone, it gets old real quickly. And now you're truly starting to realize what it looks like without Josh Allen having at least one primary guy to go after. And the best example of all was, of course, yesterday not having Khalil Shakir. Because up until this point, even though the numbers haven't been that of Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, no one expected that. But Khalil Shakir has been that guy for Josh Allen up until that point. When you take him off the field yesterday, you saw even more so the lack of what Josh Allen has surrounding him. You also factor in that Josh Allen probably played his worst football game as a pro yesterday. I don't even know. I don't know if that's an overstatement. I don't know if that's hyperbolic. I genuinely feel that way. And that probably includes his rookie year. Elena Getzenberg of ESPN, she tweeted out yesterday, Josh Allen recorded the lowest completion percentage, which was 30%, 9 of 30. Lowest completion percentage in a game with at least 30 attempts in the last 30 seasons. Let me repeat that. Josh Allen recorded the lowest completion percentage, 30%, in a game with at least 30 pass attempts in the last 30 seasons. And I'll share with you the other stat that I shared with you yesterday that I still can't get over. Josh Allen attempted 15 passes yesterday of 10 or more air yards. 1 of 15 on those attempts. 1 of 15. There are so many anecdotes like these stats that show you just how bad this offense was yesterday. And this isn't even accounting for how bad it was the week prior against Baltimore. Maybe the only reason it doesn't feel as bad is because they didn't lose as bad. But ultimately, the result on the field offensively was the same. Frankly, it was worse, especially from the pass game perspective. Josh Allen was 9 of 30 for a 58 passer rating and a 30% completion percentage. And as I shared yesterday and as I've shared throughout time here, the Bills can never afford for Josh Allen to have a bad game. But more so now than ever. Maybe he could be slightly worse at times last year when you have other guys picking up the picking up the pieces of the puzzle. But now when you don't have anybody to pick up any pieces, and Josh Allen's not on his A game to A plus game, you can forget it. Not only can you forget it, you can basically forget about even looking competent offensively. And that's what it was yesterday. That was about as incompetent of an offense as you'll see. You had balls getting rocketed off the side of Keon Coleman's head. You had multiple passes that felt like they could have been intercepted and somehow weren't. Balls skipped off the ground, balls overthrown. And all of these things I'm mentioning to you all accumulate into just one more reason why the way the game was approached at the end makes absolutely zero sense to me. All of this in mind, this was the accumulation of the football game. The Buffalo Bills, for lack of a better way to put it, as bluntly as you can possibly describe it, they could not throw the football yesterday. They could not do it. And they certainly couldn't do it with any distance. 9 completions, and one of them was over 10 air yards. They could not move the ball with any distance through the air. They really couldn't do it at all. But in terms of actually trying to push the ball down the field, it was beyond non-existent. So you're factoring in a multitude of different things here as you go in to the final sequence of the football game. And we're going to take a look at the All-22 here in just a second. Let's get to the super chat real quick from Signified Knows. They're saying, at what point do people stop giving excuses to Sean? There's no more scapegoats. The constant late game collapses, we've reached our ceiling with him. And Signified, you are far from the only person sharing that opinion today. In fact, I'd argue that that's probably the majority of the Bills fan base's opinion today. I think if you were to take a general survey right now of the fan base at large, they would probably agree with you. The majority would probably agree with you. And it's because, as I mentioned at the top, we've become accustomed to these type of losses in a fashion that no one should ever become accustomed to. That's just what this has become. As I said, you are guaranteed to have one of these types of games at minimum each season. But it just felt like yesterday was a bit more egregious due to the amount of errors at the end that seemed to just flat out cost them this football game. And as I said, and I'll continue to say, at the very least, even if you're saying to yourself, oh, it didn't cost them the game because the Texans could have won in overtime, I get all that. It 1,000% cost them their best chance to win the football game. In the second half, the Buffalo Bills had the momentum. They were the better team in the second half, especially defensively. The Texans could not do much offensively. The Bills' defense had stepped up to the plate in the second half. And there was no reason to think that they couldn't keep that going in overtime. And if I have to take my chances with Josh Allen with a clean slate going and getting me a game-winning field goal or touchdown, depending on the situation, I'd much rather take that than 40 seconds, no timeouts, backed into my own end zone trying to go and win the football game that way. And that's, of course, exactly what unfolded. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the All-22. And here's where it all starts. And this is what you have to remember. The Bills wouldn't even have been in a position to kind of piss this game away the way that they did if it weren't for the punt that Tommy Townsend executed on this fourth down. Actually, prior to that, it goes even beyond that. Here's where it all starts to me. The grounding penalty. So here's the grounding penalty. As you can see right here, in this moment, right now, you have a third down for the Houston Texans. They're already in Fairbairn's field goal range. The 40-yard line here is right where they want to be for him to nail one through the uprights and get the W. But, of course, they're trying to get a few more yards, potentially get a first down, and not even allow the Bills to touch the ball again. So they go for the pass here. Empty backfield for C.J. Stroud. You got 5 wide. And the Bills, and this is what they had done a great job of all second half, in my opinion. They got home. Look at the pressure here. Almost instantaneously, the Bills are on C.J. Stroud. Wrong route is the wrong route is ran here. Miscommunication between the receiver and C.J. Stroud. That forces him to throw it all the way over to the sideline where nobody is. And that resulted in the intentional grounding. I cannot emphasize enough how much of a gift that was. Because if that flag never gets called, Fairbairn's doing in this next moment after this play what he did at the end of regulation. That's exactly what would have unfolded just 40 seconds earlier. This was literally a gift from God placed in a golden box with a red bow on it. This intentional grounding call. This will back Houston up out of field goal range. Now, what I find funny is, of course, it always feels this way as a Bills fan. When it's one step forward, it feels like when's the step backwards going to come? And it happens the very next play. Watch this punt. This is as perfect a punt as you can possibly execute. Watch this. It's truly something. Watch where that ball bounces, and it bounces right here. It bounces right at the 1 yard line, and the backspin put on this to have it bounce directly up in the air, essentially die right at the 1 yard line, bounce up in the air like a basketball, and be fielded right at the goal line is unbelievable. Watch this again from the end zone angle. Look at this punt. Unbelievable. To me, Tommy Townsend, he should have gotten a game ball yesterday. Because if that ball is 3 yards deeper and it goes into the end zone, regardless of what the Bills try to do on their final drive, unless they throw a pick six, that game's going to overtime. The Texans would never have had a chance to get back into field goal range because they just simply wouldn't have had the field position. If the Bills start this drive at the 20, regardless of what they do, if they did the exact same thing that they ended up doing, they end up pinning the Houston Texans inside of their own 20. And unless they hit a miracle bomb or something, the game's going to overtime. And I'd probably argue if that wound up being the case, the Texans would probably have just taken it to overtime, like the Bills should have done. So that's what sets up this moment, by the way. That's what sets this up. You get the defense doing what they had to do. And by the way, the flag on C.J. Stroud, that was 100% enforced by the Bills defense. The Bills defense forced C.J. Stroud into that intentional grounding. Yes, was there miscommunication? Sure, but he wouldn't have thrown it the way he did, as fast as he did, as inaccurately as he did, if the Bills defense did not get home the way that they did. And it's just one more example of what the Bills defense stepped up and did in the second half. There's just one more example of the multitude. It's a shame that they could not step up in the big moments on third down because they really had an extraordinary second half. And here's where it starts. Or here's where it continues to just unravel in a way that has everybody today scratching their head. So prior to this, as you know by now, they're not going to give me the video on this, huh? Let's see. Okay, here we go. We got it. Okay. So they don't have apparently they don't have the all 22 video of the Keon Coleman pass. Or do they? Okay, they do. Never mind. I got it. Okay. So let's also summarize how we got to this point offensively. The drive prior to this for the Bills offense was the drive in which they took over on the Texans 15 after forcing the strip sack. An incredible play by the Bills defense. But prior to that, off the interception, Josh Allen, of course, gets banged up. He has to go to the blue tent. So when they take over on the 15 with that incredible field position, Mitch Trubisky has to go out on the field. Now, you could argue in that moment that the Bills probably maybe they should have burned a timeout there and not have let Mitch Trubisky go out on the field, because when Trubisky goes on the field, everyone in the building, including the coaching staff for the Houston Texans and the 11 defensive players out there, knows there's a handoff coming. No way they're going to put the ball in the hands of Mitch Trubisky on first down straight off the bench with the game on the line. There was just no way. Everyone knew a run was coming. They defended it as such. They didn't gain a yard. You could argue that they perhaps should have used a timeout in that circumstance to get Josh Allen on the field for the first down. You could have that argument. I don't know. It's just one more thing to add to the list. One more argument you can have with yourself about what they could have done or what they didn't do yesterday. But regardless, that was a wasted play. Then on second down, which I don't understand. Maybe let's just go to that play, actually. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's go back to that play. When Mitch Trubisky comes in, we know it's a handoff straight to James Cook. No gain, as you can see right here. This is the moment that Josh Allen returns from the game. Right off the blue tent, right? Now, once again, this is another moment to me where it just felt like the Bills were trying to get the entire cake at one time, as opposed to nibbling away at a piece after a piece after a piece. And this was ultimately their downfall in the end yesterday. At the end of the game, it felt like Joe Brady was going for the entire cake as opposed to cutting off slices until he eventually finished the cake. Right here, you've been gifted the ball at the 15, but you already had to burn a play because Mitch Trubisky was in there and everybody in the building knew a run was coming. Right here is essentially your first legitimate snap of this drive. You're at the 15, and a touchdown puts you up in this game. The way the defense was playing, it arguably wins you the game, right? Because we know the next drive, that's when they wind up forcing the punt. So you're watching here. Once again, this is what I don't understand. And I don't know if this is on Allen yesterday or it's on Brady, but where I will argue that it might be on Brady is that Josh Allen, regardless of whether they cleared him or not yesterday, and they did. I know people are arguing online about whether or not Josh Allen should have been cleared or not. The Bills do not determine whether or not Josh Allen is cleared to play. An independent neurologist does. Josh Allen was cleared to be back on the field. But it doesn't negate the fact that he had to go off of the field because of how bad he got banged up on the drive prior. So he's fresh out of the blue tent. And I don't know why the approach right out of the blue tent with the game on the line is to try to continuously run shot plays to immediately score, as opposed to, one, running time off the clock because you still got 3.5 minutes here. And two, just trying to get some semblance going in the pass game. Once again, there was nothing down the field working all game long. Why you aren't emphasizing taking the easy routes, the easy yards in this game the way it was going makes no sense to me. So if I'm Joe Brady, I'm emphasizing to Josh Allen, take what's given to you. Take the open man. And I already see some people in the chat pointing it out. And here it is right here. Everybody can see it. Look in the middle of the field here. Josh Allen has a perfectly clean pocket. We'll rewind it a couple seconds here. So Josh Allen takes the snap here. Cook in motion. 1 second, 2 second, 3. Josh Allen's got all day. And this was a one look read the entire way. And I don't know if that's Joe Brady scheming this play up to be intently for James Cook and James Cook alone, or what the deal is. I just feel like when you're coming off of a moment where you had to go to the blue tent and the game's on the line and you got to be a bit scatterbrained after what's occurred, I'm just emphasizing as the coach to make the smart play. Don't go for all of it at once. Look at the time had here. Wide open. Kincaid right here. This is wide open. I mean, look at this. This in itself. Look at this compared to this. Which one would you rather take? The first down marker's right here. It's only second down. And you have your running back running a fade route. You have two options here. You have your running back running a fade route towards the sideline, or you have a wide open tight end in the middle of the field. If they hit Kincaid and stride here, who's to say he doesn't get the first down himself? Who's to say he doesn't score? I mean, watch it unfold. Look at this. If the ball goes right here, this is at the very bare minimum a 5-yard play. And I don't know how he doesn't end up getting up the field here. Now, this is where the argument, people are trying to decide who deserves the most blame. And we talked about this yesterday, and it's certainly an argument to be had because I think that you could delegate the blame in larger shares yesterday. I think there was certainly more blame on Joe Brady and at times McDermott than there was Allen, but there was also moments where the blame had to be put on Allen. You could argue it both ways here. It's kind of reminiscent of the divisional playoff game last year against the Chiefs, where Josh Allen had Diggs on the underneath route, and he tried to go for the whole thing to Shakir, got hit by Chris Jones. The rest is history. This, to me, is just not the play. And to add insult to injury, look at the time he had. Josh Allen did not have a clean pocket all day long yesterday. The O-line did not have a great day yesterday. Josh Allen was under a lot of pressure. That's why what you'll see on the next play, he has to bail out of the pocket almost instantly to the right side to completely ruin the play. This was the moment. I mean, right here, look at this pocket. You cannot ask for a cleaner pocket in the NFL. This is not the right move here in this moment. Why are we throwing a fade route to the sideline to your running back when you have a wide open tight end in the middle of the field? This is going to get you. I mean, I don't see if this ball is thrown inside. In stride. I just don't, for the life of me, see. I don't see how it's not a first down. Dorothy's coming in here saying, Z-Bot, get in there and throw that. Dorothy, I'm not the second best quarterback in the NFL. I'm not. And yeah, are we sitting here in hindsight? Sure. But isn't that what we all do? And you're going to go ahead as we continue on here, and I'm going to show you more plays at the end here where this same exact result occurred, where there's guys open in the middle of the field, and it's foregone for guys running go routes down the field. And it doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to go in there and make the throw because I'm not the second best quarterback in the league. Josh Allen is. And this is why I put blame on both ends here. This guy's coming right out of the blue tent. Joe Brady should not be dialing up, to me, a very difficult low percentage throw here. And it just felt like this was the sole intent. Watch Josh Allen here. His eyes never stray away from James Cook. This entire play, he's got his eyes on him the whole entire way. Watch. He never even looks in the middle of the field. This was always going to go to James Cook. Now, granted, James Cook makes an incredible play, but this is why I hate the play call here. There's no room to make it in. James Cook grabs this ball. That in itself is extraordinary. But look at the low percentage of room here you have to work with. It's such a low percentage throw. And when you factor in the inability to be able to do it all game long, I don't understand why you dial it up. Especially when you factor in the guy just got his bell rung. Josh Allen never comes off the field. Josh Allen never lays on the ground for more than 2 seconds. So you know he was banged up. Yes, he was cleared. But the second Josh Allen is cleared, to me, my play call isn't instantly going to be a low percentage fade route to the sideline to my running back when, one, he's fresh out of the blue tent, and two, they have not completed a ball like this all game long. Tyler's asking, was this before or after Josh got knocked out? This was after. This was his first play back on the field. Once again, this is why I don't understand it. The play prior to this was the Mitch Trubisky handoff to James Cook that essentially was you might as well have taken a knee there. Everyone knew what was coming. Let's take a look at this angle. Now, this is going to be even worse. This is going to be even grosser because you're going to see how open Kincaid is. And you can just tell with the motion from Cook here and look at Allen the entire time. Allen's head never looks. Look at this right here. Do you see this, folks? Folks, I'd listen to an argument that this is a touchdown. Look at this. Look at the pocket. Oh my God. I mean, he's open for like two, 3 full seconds, and the pocket is as clean as it could be. Look at how low percent. I mean, I can't lie to you. I can't lie to you. It is a perfectly thrown ball, and it's an unbelievable catch by James Cook. Once again, let me reemphasize why I don't like the play call. Because even with essentially a perfect throw, and even with an essentially a perfect catch, it's such a low percentage play that even with those two things in mind, it still didn't work because he's got no room to make the play. He is face guarded the entire way, the entire route. I mean, look at that catch. We are talking about a perfect ball and a perfect grab. That's how low percentage of play that was. So it's the fault of Josh Allen here for not looking at the second read and taking the easy throw. And to me, it's the fault of Joe Brady for dialing this up because it felt to me, and I don't know how you could feel any way else, it felt like that play, the sole intention of that play was to get the ball to James Cook at all costs. Is it not how it felt? And the crazy thing is, this is all prior to the ending. Now, here's the third down. And this is where Allen essentially doesn't have a prayer and he has to get out of the pocket. Once again, and I had talked about this yesterday. I guess in this moment it might be mute because everybody knows a pass is coming, but this team currently does not have the personnel to be running the amount of empty that the Bills ran yesterday. The amount of empty that the Bills ran yesterday, it doesn't make any sense. Nobody currently has the respect for this Bills receiving core to allow the Bills offense to go empty backfield 5 wide with any success. And it did not work once yesterday. It didn't work at all. But here's the third down, and everybody knows what's coming, of course, and they don't have the personnel to beat it. So when the offensive line breaks down like it does here, Josh Allen has to move up in the pocket because if he doesn't, he's going to get nailed. Now, you got to give credit to the linebacker or whoever. I don't know if this is the linebacker or the let's take a look. Looks like you got the safety playing up. Maybe I can't even tell, but whoever is right here for Tennessee or for Houston, this is an extraordinary play on the ball because typically this is a moment where if you don't have him spying Josh Allen, which is what he was doing on this play, look at the room Allen has to work with. And I'm assuming that on this play, Allen thinks he's going to have that angle, but this is terrific defense here. But look down the field. There isn't a single guy open. There's nobody open. I mean, even in the time in which he's in the pocket here, look at this. There's not a prayer here. Nothing going here. And this was the case all game long. When it came to anything down the field, anything around the first down marker, it was just, there was no prayer. So Allen moves here. And even I thought when he first took off, I thought he was going to have a lane. This was a terrific defensive play. But this is also a result of not having anybody down the field, and they didn't have that all game long. And when you know that, it's easier to have a guy stay back and take on Allen's ability to run. Because typically in a play like this, if you have just the lineman here, maybe Allen beats that out, but he's not beating out the speed here. And there's just nothing available. And those were the 3 plays. So you get the ball on the 15-yard line off of a fumble recovery where all of a sudden, oh my God, I cannot believe we are in position to get a lead here. I can't even believe this. They immediately go 3 and out. But to me, it was the play prior to this. I just don't love the idea of scheming up a play to Josh Allen fresh off of coming out of the blue tent on a very low percentage throw. So we already talked about how the Bills wind up getting to the situation in which they got to at the end. And that's what we'll get to now. Before we do, actually, I want to reference something because I will say, because this is going to be very frustrating to watch. So let's go with a little bit of levity here before we watch this. I do want to say that despite the fact the Bills lost this game yesterday, they're sitting at 3-2 right now. The Steelers lose last night. Incredible performance by Dallas on the final drive to win it. As soon as they forced that fumble on the goal line, I was 1,000% convinced that the Steelers were going to find a way to steal another one, but they didn't. The Cowboys won. They knocked them down to 3-2. The Chiefs are tonight. But the Bills, as it stands right now, are in fourth place. I just want to show you real quick how big this upcoming Monday is and how little the sky is falling currently, even though it does feel like the world's crashing down on the Bills the way that the game ended yesterday. I figured we'd just look at this prior to watching what unfolded. Currently on BetUS, this is the current odds to win the AFC East. As it stands right now, the Buffalo Bills are minus 245 to win the East. If you're not a gambling man, that means you'd have to bet $245 to win 100 on the Bills winning the East. This is by far the biggest they've been favored since the calendar year started. The Bills were an underdog in the East going into the season. So despite the fact that it feels like things are falling, despite how frustrated we are watching this and are about to be watching the end here, through 5 weeks, they are as heavily favored to win the East as they've been all year. Now, it helps that the Jets found a way to look as New York Jetty as we were hoping they would through the first 5 weeks, especially yesterday. Aaron Rodgers, a career high in interceptions, including the pick six. It helps that the Dolphins, without Tua, have been awful offensively. I don't even know how else to put it. They cannot score. And then New England is just New England. They're minus 245 right now. So you sit here right now, I'm telling you, that's the silver lining, but it also emphasizes just how big this upcoming weekend is, or Monday night is. If the Bills win on Monday night, they'll have a game-and-a-half lead on the Jets. They'll be 2-0 in the division. And I guarantee you this minus 245 on BetUS will go to an even more astronomical number. It might even get into minus 400 territory. If the Jets win, however, the Jets will be the ones with the half-game lead on the Bills. And then that's when I think we got to start being concerned. I'm already a little concerned right now after these last 2 weeks. You can go a long way in erasing some of that concern with a win this upcoming Monday night. This upcoming Monday, we always knew it was going to be big. It's the first game back for Aaron Rodgers against these Bills. It's back in the place in which it happened in the exact same situation or the exact same setting in which it happened last year. Aaron Rodgers going down, Monday Night Football under the lights in MetLife. We always knew it was going to be big. It's huge. It's huge right now. So they're minus 245. By the way, that's courtesy of BetUS, our friends over at BetUS. 150% sign-up bonus going on for you right now, by the way, at BetUS. On your first deposit, up to $2,000. Just use the promo code YouTube 150. That'll get you 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, up to $2,000. It'll also get you 125% deposit on your next 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits after that. Great promo going on right now at BetUS. And this to me, I woke up today, I did not expect this. When I first saw this, I did not expect this. I thought the odds between the Bills and the Jets were going to be paper thin, especially going into Monday night. This is how the current market views the Bills in terms of their ability to win the East. And it's going to go a hell of a lot further than that if they win on Monday night. In order to do that, they're going to have to right the wrongs of what went down yesterday. And here to me is where it just, I don't know exactly what to make of all this. And it's really all I've been thinking about. So, just a quick recap. The drive we just went through, that was the drive prior to the Texans getting the intentional grounding, having to punt. Tommy Townsend, with the punt of the century, pins the Bills at the 2-yard line. Now, the second you saw the Bills come out in shotgun, if you're like me, you're thinking one of three things. Either they're going to try to air this ball out, they're going to run the ball right up the gut, or what I was hoping for the most out of all three options, I was hoping for a designed Allen run. But in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have been, because it didn't feel like, and maybe that wouldn't have been the right call after Josh Allen got banged up. Then again, though, I don't know if that was even being considered. Because if it was being considered, I wouldn't have drawn out the next three plays that we're going to wind up watching here. But in a perfect world, I would have loved to have seen a designed Allen run, because I can't remember the last time on a designed Allen run where he didn't get at least 4 yards or so. And in this moment, 4 yards are everything. Before we watch this, let me break down for you all that's going into this drive outside of the Bills trying to go and win the game. Here's what's going on. You're sitting here with 32 seconds left in a tie ball game. Let's be honest. The fact that it even got to that point is a minor miracle. The fact that the Bills have this game tied with 32 seconds, as abysmal as the offense looked and as bad as the defense looked for a first half, is extraordinary. The plays in which they made defensively in order to get it to this point, extraordinary. For lack of a better way to put it, you're pretty lucky to be in this situation. So you keep that in mind. You know that you're 32 seconds away from taking this game to overtime. You know that you have had the momentum for the entire fourth quarter. Frankly, for the entire second half. You've gotten pressure on Stroud. You've turned him over twice. You've scored 2 touchdowns in the second half. You've played the better football in the second half. You're going to be carrying that into overtime. But here's the other things that I just feel like were not factored in enough. You have 32 seconds. Texans have all 3 timeouts. There's a variety of things here that you want to occur in order for the game to go in the trajectory in which benefits you the most towards a W. You want to keep the ball either in bounds by running it or completing short throws. Because in that scenario, it does one of a couple things. One, it runs the clock. Texans are going to be forced to burn a timeout. They have all 3 left. If all 3 plays are kept in bounds, it burns all 3 timeouts. The Texans will not have the ability to have an additional timeout when they take over possession to be able to get extra yards for Fairbairn to get into field goal range. The only option they'll have is to throw to the sideline. The Bills know it's coming. They can defend that, and it makes it very difficult for Houston to either get into field goal range or even have the ability to attempt to get into field goal range. There's that. It also not only takes away the timeouts, which to me it's not even the biggest factor here. Either running the ball or throwing the ball incrementally here takes you from out of your own end zone. When you have to punt from your own end zone, you're already at a disadvantage because you don't have as much room to get your leg out from underneath you and send the ball down the field. So you already know, even with the best kick imaginable, if you're kicking out of the back of your own end zone, you already know that the Texans are going to be taking over at the 50 or 45-yard line, which, of course, is exactly what happened. The biggest thing that I feel like was not factored in that absolutely should have been Kaimi Fairbairn is on the other side. If you don't get from out of your own end zone here, where the ball is inevitably going to wind up being punted to is exactly where Kaimi Fairbairn wants to be to get off an attempt in which he has been automatic in throughout the duration of the season here. My problem was never throwing the football. My problem was with a banged up Josh Allen in a game where you could not complete a ball down the field past 10 yards. In a game where up until this point, Josh Allen has 9 receptions. In a game where you would need to go 60-some yards in 32 seconds with no timeouts to even have an attempt to win the football game. And mind you, you also have a field goal kicker in Bass where I don't know if anyone has the confidence in him making that field goal.
Buffalo Fanatics, what's going on? This is Pierre the Kingpin, and I wanted to talk to you today about Cigars International, which is the ultimate destination for premium homemade cigars. Known as the industry leader, Cigars International offers the largest selection, unbeatable prices, and a customer service experience that's second to none. Whether you're new to cigars or a seasoned vet, Cigars International makes enjoying cigars easy, approachable, and fun. Cigars International is the go-to retailer for all things cigars, with the biggest selection of premium homemade cigars available anywhere. Cigars International offers unbeatable deals and discounts, making it easy to stock up on your favorite or try something new without breaking the bank. With fast free shipping and their 100% satisfaction guarantee, you can shop with confidence knowing that Cigars International stands behind every order. They have good relationship with vendors that helps provide great low prices. Whether you're new to cigars or a seasoned pro, Cigars International makes it easy to find the right cigar with helpful guides, staff reviews, and expert advice. It's not just about cigars. Cigars International also offers a wide range of accessories and more to elevate your smoking experience. Check out the great deals every day at cigarsinternational.com. That's cigars, CIGARS, international.com. Use code FANATICS at checkout for 20% off your order of $50 or more, plus free shipping. Or visit www.cigarsinternational.com/fanatics, and the discount will automatically apply. Again, use code FANATICS at checkout for 20% off your order of $50 or more, plus free shipping. Or visit www.cigarsinternational.com/fanatics, and the discount will automatically apply.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
That Kaimi Fairbairn made yesterday. When Fairbairn walked out yesterday for that 59-yarder, did you have any hope at all he was going to miss it? I didn't. The dude's automatic at it. If Bass walks out there, I think they're probably putting their money on. I don't feel great about this. All of the things that had to go right for the Bills to do exactly what they tried to do here, it was borderline impossible. They had to go 60 yards in 30 seconds with no timeouts, backed into their own end zone in a game where they could not complete the ball past 10 yards, in a game where Josh Allen had 9 completions, in a game where there was 4 total balls caught by their wide receivers, in a game where essentially you could not pass the ball. There's no other way to put it. And in a game where you are facing off against an opponent that has one of the best kickers in the league. All of these things have to be kept in mind. So if you incrementally throw the ball, if you throw the ball over the middle, if you throw a screen pass, if you throw a slant route, if you throw a dig route, curl, whatever, you keep the ball in bounds, you move the ball a bit, it takes you out of the back of your own end zone, it forces Houston to call a timeout, it allows more room for Martin to kick, it allows less room for the Houston Texans to get into field goal range, it allows less opportunity for Fairbairn to get an attempt off. There are so many reasons why they should not have done what they end up doing here. But here's what unfolds. Here's the first down. And as I said, once again, you're anticipating one of three things, either a run up the middle, a throw of some sort, or a Josh Allen designed run. I don't know if anybody was anticipating going deep here. I know I wasn't. I was not expecting the ideology here to be, let's go win the football game with no timeouts in 30 seconds. But that was the strategy here. So here's the pass. The pocket's already coming in, right? You're throwing a one-on-one jump ball to your rookie here. Now, if in a different scenario where the game isn't on the line, I don't particularly hate this. You got Coleman in one-on-one coverage, and this is what you drafted him to do. A big body guy who can go up and get the football. This is what you drafted Keon Coleman to do. So if this is the second quarter and the Bills are down a touchdown or whatever, I don't mind this play at all. One-on-one coverage, give Coleman a shot. That's what needs to be kept in mind here the most. It's the circumstance. It's not necessarily the play, but it's when the play was called in the football game, in the setting in which surrounded when the play was called. You're throwing a 20-yard bomb from your own end zone here to your rookie, who on the day has one catch. So right there, by the way, when the flag came in, were you not all thinking that the flag was going to be on Houston? And then all of a sudden, this is how just frustrating it is to be a football fan at times, the roller coaster of emotions. Because it's funny, as soon as that flag came out, and then you saw Josh Allen pointing down the field, the way I saw it, I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute. Now they actually do have a chance to go and win it. Because if you get a 15-yard penalty, or if you get a spot flag there, and then you have the ability to go and get 40 yards, whatever, because that then eliminates any idea of worrying about the Texans getting a field goal attempt off. Once you were able to get to this part of the field, that's not a worry anymore. Then, by all means, go and try to gain 30, 40 yards and see if you can win it in regulation. So you're in a moment where you go from, oh, I don't want them doing this, to, oh, they did it. Oh, my God, they got a flag. Oh, my God, it's against the Bills. Now, here it is again from the end zone angle. Now, I wanted you to watch something here that I didn't point out originally, and it's back to the drive that we covered prior to this. Let's go back to the sideline angle. I want you to watch something here. I want you to watch Kincaid right here. I want you to watch right here. Oh, excuse me. Wrong. Who was I? It wasn't Kincaid. Go back here one more time. You know, I'm thinking of the second down. You'll see it on the second down. Okay, so there isn't a ton here. Now, even a dump right here. I know this is hindsight, and it doesn't look all that great, and Allen had the pocket collapsing. I'm not all that critical on this one right here. I hated the play call in terms of throwing the ball deep here. I hated that. I'm not going to criticize Allen, though, on not going elsewhere on the field here because there didn't seem to be much. But it just felt like the play call was sent in. The play call was sent in to do exactly what they just did. It's like back to the James Cook play. The play call here was to go the distance, to try and go and win the football game. This next one, though, this one's awfully frustrating because I think if there's one other, if there's a different decision made here by both Brady and Allen, I think the Bills, at the very minimum, I'm not going to say they win because I don't know what happens in overtime. If there's one slight different decision, or I shouldn't say slight, if there's a different decision, if there's a different focal point on this upcoming play here, the Bills take this game to overtime. I want you to watch. You're going to watch right here in the middle of the field. You seeing what I'm seeing? So unlike the play prior, Allen has a clean pocket here. And he's looking downfield the entire time. This is similar to that of the James Cook play once again, where the read the whole time, and I can't help but think that the ideology between both Brady and Allen, it was never go and get the first down, or it was never try to move the ball out of the back of the end zone. I think it was always, let's go and try and win this in regulation, and I can't wrap my head around it. And if you remember on the broadcast, you'd have to go back and watch the broadcast and not the all 22, but they cut to McDermott immediately after this play, and you can hear him mouth, we got to go for a first down or something like that. You can read his lips, and it basically says, go for the first down. This is not going for the first down right here. You are hinging the game here. I can't believe I'm saying this. You are hinging the game here on a 40-yard pass from your own end zone to Mac Hollins. In what world does that make any sense to you? And then you have to ask yourself, in what world does that make sense to the guy in charge of making the play call here? You also have to ask yourself, in what world, Josh, is that the read? You are a 7-year vet at this point. And it once again felt like that was the read here. That was the main goal here. This is what I think wins the game. Or not, I can't say win. I got to stop with that. This is upcoming here, right here, is what I think takes this game to overtime. Boom. Boom. Look at Allen here. See if I can make this even bigger. Does that make that bigger for you guys? Maybe if I go smaller here. Allen's head right here. Initially, it's looking down the field. It looks like he's waiting for this route to develop from Hollins. Look at the amount of time, look at the lack of pressure, and look at Dalton Kincaid. Let me tell you what happens if this ball right now is thrown to Kincaid. Look how open he is. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and play the whole duration here to show you how much time Allen had to execute this. He almost got sacked waiting for Mac Hollins to get open on a 40-yard go route. That's how irresponsible of a play call this is to me. Because you have to have the time to allow this to develop. First of all, is this even Mac Hollins' game? Why isn't Curtis Samuel running that route? He's supposed to be your speedster. Or why isn't Coleman's running that route like he did the prior one? He's supposed to be the go up and get it guy. Why are we running a 40-yard prayer to Mac Hollins with the game on the line in your own end zone? And, of course, when you're backed into your own end zone, you have less room to navigate. And, of course, the longer you wait for a play to develop, the more, of course, you're susceptible to the pocket breaking down and getting sacked. So now Allen has no other choice but to just launch it, and that's what happens here. And this never stood a chance. Look at this. This never had a chance. Now look what happens if the emphasis was, hey, let's just get out of the end zone. Boom. If this ball is thrown right here, you go from the 1-yard line to at the bare minimum, and I'm talking at the absolute bare minimum, if Kincaid is hit the second he catches this football, you gain 6 yards. You gain 6 yards. If he gets hit right at this hash right here, that would make it 3rd and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3rd and 5, as opposed to 3rd and 10 in the back of your own end zone. This is what this does. This throw right here, and this is what's so frustrating too. This is what Allen has been so good at. This is what he has improved on dramatically. This is what I had felt had brought their game to a whole new level offensively. It was his decision-making in these moments, and frankly, throughout the game in general, his decision-making in terms of making the right play, and then Joe Brady's seemingly emphasis on that play being made. It's felt like Joe Brady has done a great job of implementing the ideology into this offense that you don't need it all at once. That's why this was completely backwards. The way this whole game went was completely backwards, especially towards the end. This hasn't been what's been working for them. What's been working for them are the throws like this right here. Let's get 6 yards. Let's get another 6 after that. But regardless of what even happens after that, to me, if this ball right here is thrown to Kincaid, if he's hit right here at the very bare minimum, I mean, if he gets just blown up right on the catch, it's 3rd and 5, and this does a multitude of things. It runs a couple more seconds off the clock. At this point, it's irrelevant. The Texans' timeouts are probably irrelevant because you already had an incompletion. They would have to burn one here, but they'd still have 2 remaining. But the biggest key of them all, this was what I felt like was just completely overlooked. It gets you out of your own end zone. It allows Martin the adequate room to punt it. And once he gets the punt off, the Texans are not within Fairbairn's range. If they get an additional 6 yards here, he's got an extra 6 yards on the punt attempt. He's got an extra 6 yards that elongates the punt return. Now, the argument I've gotten back is Houston would still have 2 timeouts. They'd still have to get in range. Yes. But they'd have to make 2 plays as opposed to 1, and they'd probably need 15 yards as opposed to 5. And that's why I think just a simple throw down here might have brought in this game to overtime. Instead, I don't know for the life of me how this is the call. I think it would be a questionable call if you had prime Randy Moss. How questionable of a call is it when you're doing it with Mac Hollins? And then here's the play after. Here's how the 3rd down goes. Now, this one, out of all of the attempts, was the one that felt the closest. It's just the pocket broke down. So here's the play. 3rd down. Once again, the amount of time needed for this to develop, because now you need the full 10 yards. You didn't need the full 10 yards on 1st and 2nd down. Now you do. And that's what killed me the most about this. There wasn't even an attempt to chip away at the 1st down originally. Now you put yourself in a position where you don't even have that luxury. There's no chipping away. You got to go for the whole pie now. But you already burned 2 plays going for the whole pie when you didn't have to. And you have to allow for this entire play to develop here. And do we see? This is the other thing that kills me about this. It's not just waiting. It's not just going deep here. But you put yourself in a scenario. You put Allen in a scenario for 2 things that immediately lose you the game here. A holding call by any one of these offensive linemen immediately results in a safety, immediately results in a loss for the Bills. All it would have taken is 1 flag thrown, 1 grab of the shoulder pad to immediately, instantaneously lose this game for Buffalo. The other thing here, too, look at this. Look at this. If Allen throws this ball a second later, that's either a strip sack or a sack in general. Doesn't really matter because the result's the same, a W for the Texans. You have to allow this entire play to develop. to me, on third down, knowing you haven't been able to get 10 yards in a single throw all game long outside of the Coleman yard after catch play, you haven't been able to do it. Why not try to get a couple more yards to give yourself a better position to punt? I understand the thought process here of trying to go for the first down and then taking it to overtime, but the problem is you have already burned that luxury, in my opinion. You've already disintegrated that luxury. And now that you've burned your two roll of the dices, the third one can't be all in again. The third one's got to be more conservative because you went all in on the first two. I mean, look how long it takes for this to develop, because it has to. You have got to allow these guys to get a full 10 yards down the field. And by the time that they even get remotely close to that positioning, Allen's about to get his head ripped off. And of course, Samuel is open, and you could make the argument. I've heard people say, Allen had him. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he sure did. Does he have him with a guy literally wearing Josh Allen's jersey? Yeah, he had him if he had a clean pocket. But the problem is, when you are backed up against your own back end zone and you got to allow at least a few seconds at the minimum for these guys to get past the sticks, the odds of you having a clean pocket by that time aren't great. And when you factor in that you haven't been able to do that all game, it just makes even less sense. So yeah, was Curtis Samuel wide open here? Yeah. The reason it skips off the ground is because Allen got nailed mid-throw. And if he threw it an eyelash later, Fairbairn wouldn't even have to have came out and attempted the field goal, because the game would have been over in the end zone. And that right there, folks, is 3 plays that has everybody who's even a casual fan of the National Football League scratching their head for the last 24 hours. So then, of course, this results in the punt. Now look at this. Prior to the snap here, Sam Martin had his feet out of bounds, and then he had to align himself to make sure he wasn't out of bounds. That's how backed up he is. And with all circumstances factored in here, a 56-yard punt is probably about as good as you could have hoped for. You're pinned up so tight, you have very little room to operate. I can't tell you how much in my mind I think even a 4-yard gain on this drive would have benefited the Buffalo Bills. A 3-4-yard gain. I just think the game completely could have changed. They didn't gain a yard. So, of course, here's the punt. And in a mere 25, 30 seconds time, look where the Houston Texans are back at. They're back right where they were the series prior, where it felt like the Bills were just given an absolute blessing. It felt like you were playing Mario and you found an extra life. That's what it felt like. And you decided to take that extra life and just jump into one of those, what are they? The flesh-eating plants in Mario. I don't know what the hell they're called. Felt like you got one of those things where Mario jumps up, he hits the little box, he gets an extra life, and then it felt like you immediately just jumped right into the mouth of one of those human-eating plants. Right back. And if they would have just gained 5 yards or whatever, this same return puts you right here. And that's just if you gain 5 yards on one play. There wasn't even an attempt to gain a single yard on all 3 plays. All 3 plays, the attempt was to gain as much yardage as possible. It wasn't to gain as much necessary yardage as possible to put yourself in the best spot to take this game to overtime and win. And I know there's a lot of people out there that say, people like me would be bitching that they did not allow Josh Allen the opportunity to go and win the football game at the end. That is not true, at least on my side of things. I told you off the rip, I immediately wanted to just take this game to overtime for a multitude of reasons. It's all circumstantial. If the Bills had all 3 timeouts, if Josh Allen didn't just come out of the blue tent, and if Josh Allen wasn't 9 for 27 at the time without a single completion over 10 yards, I probably would have been the guy, if they didn't wind up doing what they did, saying, why didn't you allow Allen to have a chance? There were so many reasons why I did not want them to do that. And there are so many reasons why I argue that I would not have been the guy to say, how do you not give Allen a chance there? I'll tell you how you don't give him a chance there. You have 32 seconds on the clock. You're inside your own end zone. You have 0 timeouts. You haven't been able to throw the ball all day. And if you don't get out of your own end zone and don't gain any yardage, you are giving the best field goal kicker in the league an attempt right within his range to win the game. And that's exactly what unfolded. And then to add insult to injury, here's the final defensive play of the game. And this, once again, this just, I personally think if Fairbairn had to kick it from right where he was right here, it probably still would have went in. It would have eked over it would have eked over the bottom of the field goal post by maybe a half a yard. I still think he probably makes it. But it sure as hell would have been a lot harder. It would have been a 64-yarder as opposed to a 59-yarder. On what planet? And this is what I don't understand. McDermott, to me, one of, if not the best defensive coaches in the league. On what planet does this make sense? There is 7 seconds left in the game. In no world are the Houston Texans looking to put the ball anywhere down here. The only place the Texans want to put the ball is between the 40 and the 35. This does them nothing. If they try to go the distance here, they don't have enough time. There's only 7 seconds. They gained 5 yards here, and there was only 2 seconds left on the clock when they called the timeout. If they try to get an additional 10 yards, that's going to eat up 2 seconds. They don't have the time for it. The mindset was never, ever, ever to do anything other than gain 5 to 7 yards and immediately call a timeout. So why the hell do you have 2 safeties inside the 20 when the ball is at the 46-yard line? It makes no sense. I said yesterday with Rico, I will never understand this. It feels like these defensive coaches all get together and collectively agree that in this scenario, they all have to run prevent or one of them has to do a humiliation ritual. I don't get it. They all seem to do it. Why? Why would you not? Look, you have nobody up front here. Why sacrifice 2 guys deep when you could have 2 additional guys lined up right here on the 40, which is the only place they were ever going to go with the football? The only place. They do not have enough time. And a touchdown does them nothing. Like they would have to score a touchdown, essentially. So you have 2 choices. Either defend the Texans' ability to gain enough yards to get a comfortable field goal range for Fairbairn, or defend a 50-yard touchdown. Which would you rather take your chances on? The incompetency of this final sequence in this game is something that ought to be studied. And it leaves me just as dumbfounded now as I was about 30 hours ago. And here's the play. I mean, look at this. And this is what kills me, is that even with sacrificing 2 guys, I mean, these 2 guys right here might as well not even have been on the field. And by the way, didn't they only have 10 on the field? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, they did have 11. All right, whatever. I thought I had read that somewhere. I didn't know. Would it have mattered? Because they might as well have had 7. These 2 guys are doing this. This is nothing. Put them on the sideline. And it just makes you wonder what would have happened if you put these 2 guys up here. Because look at, with no pressure at all, the Bills rushed what? The Bills rushed 2. They rushed 1 here. The Bills send 1 guy. This is the insanity of all of this on top of everything else. The Bills send 1 guy. And even then, CJ Stroud has to get outside the pocket to make this play, and you can't help but wonder. Look at the coverage here. It's about as good as you could hope for. Would it have been even better with 2 additional defenders covering the middle of the field? Look at how difficult this play was for Stroud to make with 9 of the 11 defenders covering this area. How difficult would it have been if you had the 2 guys sent to a wasteland in the back of the field up here defending as well? Complete. I mean, look at this. If you have 2 additional guys covering this area, because there could have been a guy face guard, there could have been a guy right on the running back. You could have had everyone guarded here. Like I said, you had 2 choices here. You either can decide to defend a 50-yard touchdown, which they essentially did, or you can decide to defend exactly what you knew they were going to do. Look at how difficult this play was for Stroud to make, sending 1 guy with 2 guys in no man's land back here. How much more difficult would it have been if those guys were actually active in the play that everybody knew was coming? And maybe that results in an incompletion. Maybe that results in a 2-yard gain as opposed to a 5-yard gain, and maybe that changes the trajectory as well. It just felt like every little thing they could have found a way to do wrong at the end is exactly what they wound up doing. Let's go to a couple super chats before we close up shop this evening. Mischief coming in. He's saying, but people were glazing McDermott a couple weeks ago. You know where I stand on this. I'm not a McDermott apologist. It's moments like this where I just got through spending 10 minutes on that play alone. Where I defend McDermott is I also think that they're not even in that game probably yesterday defensively if it's not for what they did in the second half defensively. And I give them a lot of credit for that. But it's these moments that are inexcusable. I think people get these things. 2 things can be true at once. McDermott deserves a lot of praise for the things that he has done with the personnel he's done it with. He also deserves a lot of criticism for the Broncos game, for this game, for the 13-second game, for last year. I mean, running a fake punt with Damar Hamlin, what was that? 2 things can be true, and that's the unfortunate thing is I think McDermott does things so well in this league, so well. I think he does it at the highest level for most of the time. But it's these moments that stick out the most because when you have a white shirt, even the smallest of blemishes show up and the bigger blemishes show up even worse. And I think McDermott, for the most part throughout his career, he's had a pretty damn clean white shirt. But man, those couple of mustard splotches he has on there, they're big boys. They are big boys, and you can see them. And despite the fact that the shirt is still 90% white, you're focused all in on the 10% that's mustard. And this is one more mustard splotch on the white shirt. Richie Fresh. This crap has to be fixed, but this is why I said I was happy we were 3-0, but needed to see more. With most of the league 2-3, 3-2, or 1-4, I'm still hopeful. And that's the one thing you have to be happy about. And I talked about it a bit earlier. It's that with the Steelers losing last night, they fall to 3-2. They were 1 play away. They were 1 drop ball in the end zone or 1 Dak Prescott wrong move away from being 4-1. The Chiefs could be 5-0 tonight. They could be 4-1. We'll see what happens. I don't anticipate the Saints beating them, but we'll see. But it's very even throughout the league. Plus, you have teams that are pretty much already out of it, like the Jags, like the Bengals. Those are in good shape. But it can't be what yesterday was. It sure as hell can't be what last week was. And this upcoming week, this is like a midseason playoff game in terms of how the AFC East is going to look. We'll take a look at the odds for that again before we wrap up. Richie Fresh, ask yourself this. Can McDermott make a call on a final drive in a Super Bowl after he screwed up again? If the answer is no, then he has to go. Rip the Band-Aid. I don't know if the answer is no. We haven't gotten there. All I know is we have a very wide sample size of games, and McDermott has won the most out of any other coach not named Andy Reid in the last 5 seasons. But I can't argue with you here, Richie. I can't argue with you, brother. These are the moments where everyone is going to wonder exactly what you're wondering. And it's back to the mustard splotch analogy. That's what you're going to be thinking about. I would just like to have the ability to even go ahead and make the incorrect call in the Super Bowl, Richie. Is that too much to ask for? At least give me the opportunity to make the wrong call in the Super Bowl. PVC coming in. The real issue is that Brady has a game plan. And if that game plan isn't working, there is no deviation, period. And that I 100% agree with. That I agree with. You saw that against the Ravens, and you saw it yesterday. And when you factor in poor play by the offensive line, when you factor in non-existent wide receiver play, and when you factor in a really bad performance, maybe the worst of his career from Josh Allen, on top of Joe Brady not seemingly being able to make adjustments, it's going to result in exactly what you saw yesterday. It's going to result in what you saw last week. There's no excuses now. Brady has got to switch things up to some degree this upcoming weekend. There's got to be some, and I don't know if it's possible because of the personnel that they have. I hope Brandon Beane's working the phones. That's all we can be hoping for at this point. I hope Beane's working the phones. But as of right now, we have to operate as a fan as if he's not. And so because of that, Joe Brady, it's up to you. It's up to you to use your super powered quarterback to get the most out of these guys. You did it for 3 weeks, and I understand the competition wasn't as good. The Denver Broncos beat the Jets. The Buffalo Bills should be able to beat the Jets. But if you go out and play the way you did yesterday and the way you did last week, you're not going to do it. It's got to be different. It's got to be better. And we'll be able to see that a week from tonight. One more from Richie. Problem is the 10% shirt stain costs us positions in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's the ultimate analogy here. When you have that white shirt, it's not worth the tag that was attached to it. Once you get a mustard stain on it, that's the problem. Is that it's the 10% that everyone sees, that everyone that stands out, that everybody focuses on. It's the 10% that has cost the Bills. But you have to wonder, would you have the other 90% up until now with McDermott? And many would argue you would offensively. What I think gets forgotten about so often is the defensive part of things, which is 50% of the ball game and 50% of the team, and been one of the best units in football since McDermott's taken over. Everyone says the offense would be better. Would the defense be as good? And my argument to that is I don't see how it could be, because under McDermott, it's been one of the best in the league. Before we close up shop, let's go ahead and give 2 minutes to collab with my main man who's on the road, who had to get a say in from his hotel room. You already know who it is. It's that boy Rico.
We're live and direct, folks. From the old.
You got there safe. You landed.
Yeah, my lighting's all right though. I thought my lighting was gonna be buns, but
I think your mic's off though.
It's Mark. See, there you go. There you go again. Let me fix.
What are you thinking? How you feeling? Over 24 hours removed here. Are you like me, where you just continuously find ways to not stop thinking about this?
How's my mic now?
Good.
You know what? I've had some time to reflect. And I'm glad I do this. This is when you were away for like a week. Didn't it feel like I need to get on the mic and express myself? And that's how I feel at the moment. And that's why I didn't want to take too much of your shine. You did a great job today. What a treat it was to see Z-Bot in the film room bot.
That NFL Pro app, by the way, you guys should all subscribe to it. It's awesome, the stuff that's in there. But Rico, how can you not go back and take a look at that? Because that's what all anybody is thinking about today, looking at today, right? And that's what the game boiled down to.
I have some unpopular opinions. And you know what? It was a tweet today. I don't know how my connection is. My connection is probably going to be spotty.
You sound good. The camera isn't good, but you sound good. We can hear you.
The camera's crap. But what am I going to do, right? Here's the deal. I won't stay too long. But there was a tweet today that really stood out for me. And it was a guy saying, like, content creators out there, when they're analyzing the team and giving their analysis, there's a lot of my team, and it clouds the way we analyze a team, a loss, a win, so on and so forth. So you have to almost kind of take a step back from being a fan and objectively look at the game. And I think we do a lot of that, but sometimes the passion in us, and we get to say my team and this and that, and we don't really see the big picture. So, but there's some unpopular things that I got to say, and a lot of it was a lot of what we talked about yesterday. But overall, when you go over the film, it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be ugly, but a lot of things are gonna be glaring. And you said it a lot today, and I don't even know if you realized how much you were saying it. You're like, why didn't you hit this? This thing is right here. Why'd you go over here? And a lot of people want to say, our receivers. Hey, man, these guys did not just stop learning how to throw, run and catch and run routes. Your quarterback, if he's just looking this way, doesn't stop looking this way, and doesn't stop looking this way, and is only looking this way, fair. There's an issue. Now, there is an issue with our receiving room. I'm sure we're going to address it. But for the most part, you did a fantastic job in the film room, buddy. I was dialed in. I was like, look at this guy. He's got the mouse working. Why isn't he in here? Bro, you nailed it. But
so what it boils down to, Rico, though, is what I feel like you're getting at. And yeah, that was probably the worst performance maybe we have ever seen from Josh Allen, if not on a short list of three or so. And when you do look at it, yeah, the separation from the receivers for the majority of the game is not great at all. And the O-line play yesterday was not great. But there are moments when you do go back that they really do pop out where you're thinking to yourself, if we just go with what seems to be the logical move here as opposed to the let me go and get the entire bag here move. And this is why I gave equal blame to not only Allen, but also Brady, because I feel like that needs to be emphasized. The move here is not to go and win this football game right now. The move here is to go and get ourselves our best chance to win the football game in overtime. And that's what I just felt like. It was a collective effort of those two doing the opposite of what I felt should have been done towards winning that football game.
Listen, 6 famous words were used by Herm Edwards. And I'm not sure if you remember those 6 words. We play to win the game. That's what Brady was going for. And apparently his presser, I didn't listen to the whole thing, got a bit of it, but then I was like, I'll watch it later. But he pretty much is standing on business with his last 3 plays. He's like, yo, that's the call we wanted. We had a vision. It didn't work out. I stand on it. I was like, damn, okay. He's standing on business. Well, you keep standing on that business, you're going to be looking for business elsewhere, my G, because this league is sometimes unforgiving. And you continue to make these kind of decisions, it can land you elsewhere. I mean, we don't want that. But, I mean, I don't want to take away from a great show that you had. I just want to come on, make sure my lighting and Wi-Fi. I mean, I can't do much about Wi-Fi, but great job, Film Room Bot. Bent Brim Bot, Film Room Bot. By the way, I got one last thing to say. I got a comment. Yes. I don't know if you saw it in our YouTube comment section because they were lighting us up. And one of them said, you know what? I've made a decision to said the last 2 games we've lost, it came after Z-Bot's freaking wedding.
Oh, that's all I've been thinking about.
Ever since this guy got married, we've been losing.
I know. I can't stop thinking about it.
Do what you got to do.
My dad already told me I jinxed the whole thing. It's unbelievable. It's incredible.
Your happiness is causing us losses and losses.
I can never have the whole gamut of happiness. I'm only allowed certain amounts of happiness.
Welcome to being married.
I guess that's the best way to put it, right?
Yeah, have it all, baby.
I'm only allowed certain amounts of happiness. Rico, before we let you go, let's get to a couple super chats with me before we bounce out.
You got it, buddy.
BT's coming in. He's saying, curious, Z-Bot, out of 100%, how much fault are you attributing to Allen wide receiver play calling? I'll see you at the Jets tailgate. I'm bringing Polish snacks.
Hey-o.
Sounds good to me. That sounds good to me. Now make sure you
get that Polish sausage.
Don't get pulled over at TSA, Bartek, on your way in with those Polish snacks. Make sure you get in safe. Don't get anything confiscated. We talked about this a bit yesterday, but out of the 100%, I had felt like it was like 45% Brady, 35% McDermott, and what was it? What did that end up equated to? Or 30% McDermott and 25% Allen. That's how I felt. Now, looking back on the film a little bit, I might bump Allen up another 5%, but this is where I got to transition to what Scott's saying. And he's saying, question for Seabot and Rico, knowing Allen was unconscious for 3 seconds on the field, would you let him back on the field? No one you need more for the Jets game, and it's a bad decision by the coach. We can argue about whether you put him back in the game. I'll tell you this right now. Allen was cleared. Good luck telling him not to go back on that field. If you think he wasn't going to just go back out on that field himself, that's why I think that's a dilemma right there. The coaches are never going to win. That he's going to go back on the field. But this is where I've been saying this all show. With this in mind, I don't run as many shot plays that are reliant on Allen making the best plays made all game because of the factoring in that he was just in the blue tent. There were so many factors that went against the ideology the Bills used at the end. And one more cherry on top is exactly what you're mentioning, Scott. Allen got absolutely nailed the drive prior. So why immediately send him out there and go and try to have him make plays that were not there the entire night? We can argue about whether he should have gone back out there or not. I can tell you for a fact, I don't see how they would have had to have brought the National Guard in, I'm assuming, to keep him off that field. But they should have put him in a better position to execute when he was put back out there. And in my opinion, that wasn't the case.
Here's you put that one up back in for me. A lot of the for me when it goes to I think it was Bartek that put it in and Scott Van Loo on the unconscious. Here's the thing: if you've ever played ball before, sometimes you get your bell rung. You get your bell rung, and you need to just kind of shake the cobwebs and get back in and play. I get it. Tua has given us a nasty taste in our mouth because he's got their hands curled up and it just looks bad. I get it, but that's his 4th or 5th, concussion. So of course there's reason to be concerned. Did Allen get unconscious? Was he unconscious? I don't know. Was he a little kind of oof? Okay, I got my bell rung. All right, he goes to the tent. That's why the tent's there. That's why you got professionals. All right, what day is it? They go through the series of questions. All right, you seem to be on point. So what's the problem? My chest or whatever the case is, right? I'm ready to go back out there. Did I clear your test? All right, send me back in there. Now, how do you hold somebody out that's clearly passed the test? Like we're getting to the point now. I might be it's unpopular. We're getting to the point where we're getting soft these days, man. Somebody gets their bell rung, shake it off, smelling salt, get back in there. That's the old school way of doing things. Now, get him out of the game, save him for the Jets game. If he's ready to go, let him go. That's just the way I look at it.
Here's the problem that I keep seeing. People think that there's like a Bills homer in that blue tent forcing him back out there. It's an independent neurologist. The NFL does not want another Tua situation on their hands. If Allen did not pass that test, they would not have allowed him to go back out there, whether or not you had to bring the National Guard in or not. But once he was cleared, there was no way they weren't putting him back out there. There was no way he wasn't going to go back out there himself. Have you not gotten to know this guy since he's been the quarterback of our Buffalo Bills? The guy seems like he'd go out there and play if he got hit by a cruise missile in the middle of the game. He would find a way to bring himself back, put himself back together and go out there and play. But what people need to understand that I keep seeing talked about, there was an independent neurologist who passed him to go out there. It wasn't like it was McDermott, Brady, and Bean in there conspiring to put him back out on the field. And I feel like that's what people think happened. As bad as it might have looked, he did pass the test. But in my opinion, despite passing the test, you still get, like you mentioned, your bell rung. That to me does not spell the best opportunity or the best position to be in to go and have the plays that I think were dialed up for him to go execute. That's how I see it.
Marvin, doesn't he have a saying? Sometimes you gotta lay there a little, bleed a little bit, and get back up. And bro, man, this is a violent sport, and it's not for the weak. So Allen knows what he signed up for: 6'5", 240. I'm gonna get hit. Everybody knows it. Now you keep rolling out right, that's gonna happen, right? You roll right, you're gonna get hit, and you're gonna get down, you're gonna get back up. Sometimes you gotta lay there for a bit. Yo, I'm winded. Give me a second. All right. Because I can tell he was all right when all the players went to him and then they walked away. They're like, he's probably fine. He's like, yo, I'm fine. Just give me a second. Sometimes that's what it takes.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of comments. I'm seeing a lot of comments like that people are saying that they genuinely believe they didn't test him. I mean, you can think that. I for the life of me can't buy into that. Is bad. the NFL, the last thing that they want, I'm telling you, after that Tua situation, they do not want a guy going back out on the field for a regular season game if it means you're going to see another Tua situation where he has the crab hands or whatever, or he's on the field and he visibly looks like, oh my God, this guy, this is unbelievable. What am I even seeing right here? It's not good for the shield. The NFL does not want that out on the field. So I understand why you would think it because of the way he got hit, but I am telling you, whether you think it was the accurate test or not, whatever, there was somebody that had no stake in the game that allowed him to go back out there. Now, whether you believe that or not, that's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to believe, but they didn't force him back out there.
Everybody's going to have different opinions on this situation. Walter feels different. I feel completely different. You know what I mean? So we'll see. He says, we literally seen Tua have a concussion at the Dolphins, and the Dolphins tried to tell us the shit was a back injury, and we're going to knock people for being skeptical. Come on, man. Listen, you can be skeptical all you want. I don't care if you're skeptical.
I'm not knocking people for being skeptical, but I'm seeing people flat out saying that. I mean, at the end of the day, though,
take him out for the whole game.
I understand why everybody thinks this. At the end of the day, I do understand it. I do get it. Like Aurora's saying, she doesn't agree. I guess in my mind, I'd like to think that there's not a guy in there just signing Allen off on that because for the hell of it. But
hey,
that's fine.
Are you out on? Listen. I don't want to listen. You've been on here long enough. We got to save some content for tomorrow because I listen. We got to talk about this receiver room. There's talking about if the trade needs to be made is being on the table. Apparently, they're hot and heavy for Devontae Adams. I'm not trying to make you go out another 4 hours. Listen, have yourself a great night. Thank you for letting me come on.
Hey, David, real quick before you leave, Rico, so David, I want to read this real quick, but then I want to show you something before you leave. I don't know if you've seen this. David saying thoughts on the play before the winning field goal. Rasul said post game, Dorian got on the field late and didn't know the play they were in. So, David, if you missed it, you can go back about 20 minutes before now. After we're done here, go back and watch. I went through the whole play before the winning field goal and talked about it. I had thought I had read something similar to what you're talking about here, but regardless, whether they had it didn't matter. They wasted two guys being put back at the 20. It made no sense at all. And when you go back and watch the play, bringing those two safeties up towards the line of scrimmage could have maybe been one of the differences in the game. And it just, once again, a baffling choice that we see time and time again in this league, and it makes absolutely no sense to me. All right, Rico, before we wound up closing up shop, I got a question for you. Going into next week, you know that if the Bills lose, they'll be knocked out of first place in the East, right? So with that said, do you think the Bills are still currently favored to win the AFC East? And do you think it's a heavy favorite or do you think it's a marginal favorite?
I still think it's a heavy favorite. I think the league and the NFL is out on the Jets and what old man Rodgers is putting out there. I mean, listen, he's 40. I'm turning 40. I'm turning 40 in November 20th. If you want to get me a birthday gift, go ahead and get me a birthday gift November 20th. I'm turning 40 in November, all right, bro? But listen, you're 40. Even me going up the stairs sometimes, I'm like, yo, I used to be a damn good athlete. And I'm like, yo, what's up with my knees, man? My knees never used to do this shit. Bro, he's feeling it. And Father Time is knocking at that brother's door. He damn near pushing the door open, and Rodgers is trying to hold on as much as he can. There's only so much holding of the door you can before Father Time says, boom, get out the way, bitch, I'm here. It's just a matter of time. So I think the Bills are definitely still a favorite. The Bills, I know that they'll shake things up. They'll get things better. I can see it. The Jets are the Jets. They only go as far as Rodgers takes them. Same for the Bills, but I give a better chance for the Bills to repeat as taking the division.
You would be right, my friend. And I personally was shocked at how favored the Bills wound up being this morning. I'm not shocked that they were favored, but I was shocked that it was this heavy. The Bills today on BetUS, despite back-to-back losses, are minus 245. And I thought the way you just painted that is a good way to look at it in a way I didn't look at it so far. The market in the betting markets, it reflects the overall thought process surrounding teams. And what this is telling you right now, the trust is gone from Rodgers, a 3-pick performance yesterday. And despite the Bills' struggles these last couple of weeks, there's still far more trust in the Bills to find a way to get out of here alive with the East than there is for Aaron Rodgers to take these Jets from the pits of mediocrity and overcome what the Bills have been doing year in and year out. So you were dead on. Right now, the Bills minus 245. That will change dramatically this upcoming Monday, one way or the other. If they win, it skyrockets another way. It skyrockets up. If they lose, it skyrockets down. That's why Monday is such a big game. And if you want to get in on those AFC East odds and much more, 150% sign-up bonus right now on BetUS. Just use the promo code YouTube150. That's going to get you 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next two after that. What do you got for me, Rico?
As we sign out, this looking at Rodgers is kind of like looking at your favorite athletes when they're near the end. It's sad. It's really sad. We're going to go through it with LeBron. LeBron's got a couple more years, and you can be like, God, he's leaving. Karl Malone, and I'll put it Bills-wise, when Fred Jackson was getting, a little older, we were sad. It happens. It happens when your old players that you revere, that you love so much, are trying to hold on. But that's it. That's the beauty of sports, man. You have the young guns coming in, and then you got the old heads that are on their way out, right? When Tom Brady left, it was like, oh, we lost a good one. Rodgers holding on, and I'm sure he's like, fuck, man, it's over with, man. Like, I can't do what I used to do. Phillip Rivers went through it. They all go through it. Our favorite athletes. When Lionel Messi is ready to call it quits, man. Look at prime example. I don't know if you're into soccer, but you got Ronaldo right now. Cristiano Ronaldo, he's going through it, man. It's near the end. It hurts. You feel you can still hold on to it, but you can't.
Yeah.
Rodgers is at that point, man. Bills going for their 5th division. That's it, baby.
Father time is undefeated unless your name is Tom Brady or LeBron James. So there you go.
Kobe, put my boy Kobe in there too.
Hey, Kobe, you're right. You're Kobe. Kobe went out, with his final performance there. It was like, man, he still got it. He's just hanging it up. I'll let you roll. I'll close out. Give me a call later though if you're bored.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here. I'm gonna try to get this game on this channel. If I can't, then I gotta watch it off this laptop.
Watch the Chiefs ball tonight. Will you watch it?
Listen, man, Chiefs could lose this one, and the AFC is wide open again. Here come the Bills.
Let's go Saints, baby. I'll talk to you later, brother.
All right, buddy.
Much love to Rico, and hey, much love to all of you lovely folks tuning in on a Monday evening after as depressing a loss as you'll see. Yesterday, we had well over 1,100 of you in here throughout the duration of the show, and you know how much it means to me, especially after a loss like that. You can't get together enough and talk about it, and I appreciate you tuning in tonight to come and talk about it with me. That's going to do it for me here on a Monday on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. On your way out the door, hit that like button for me if you could. Subscribe button if you haven't already. Look at the like button right there. And then, of course, take advantage of that 150% sign-up bonus on BetUS. Promo code YouTube150. That's 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next two deposits after that. Rico will be back with you tomorrow. I'll be back with him again later with you later in the week. Enjoy Monday Night Football. And until the next time I see you, much love and go Bills.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're a podcast host, listen up. This one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle. And I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.